Gentlemen, welcome back to the shop. Today, as you just saw, we got the floor put on the trailer, but it is upside down because today is painting day. That is right. I picked up some of this here Dutch boy for today. For the bottom of the trailer, it's just flat exterior latex, which will be perfect. It's crack, chip, peel, and fade resistant. I don't care about the fade resistant, but the crack and chip will be very nice for the bottom of the trailer. Then I got some Dutch boy for inside the trailer as well, for the inside walls. As you see right here, it is kitchen and bath. It is semi-gloss. It's for the interior. But that particular paint is supposed to be more mildew resistant and easy to wipe down, which I figured was a good thing for inside of such a small area. So next up, I'm going to go ahead and move the walls over, and I'm just going to get painting because, well, you guys don't really need any other information about that. Finally, I accidentally forgot to record the painting of the trailer floor, but you guys can kind of probably imagine how that went. So as you see, here's the first coat. I put the plastic underneath. It's not really working very well with that tape, so I did take some packing tape, and that's helping a little bit more. But what I ended up doing is, after I got most of it done, I ended up taking a little brush and brushing in to those cracks, just to make sure that all of that was coated nicely on the inside of those cracks or those areas that the roller didn't want to get. It says that it takes an hour to dry to touch and 4 hours before you can reapply the second layer. I'm not going to wait that long because, well, I just don't have the patience to, and it's windy as heck out, and I really don't feel like dealing with it for longer than I have to. So I'm going to go ahead and let the stuff on there that is dry to touch, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a second layer on it, let that dry, and then probably even put on a third layer after that. I was hoping to paint everything outside, however, with the walls being over here and the wind going that way, I really don't want junk flying onto the paint and sticking to the paint of the wall. So unfortunately, what I think I'm going to end up having to do is doing what I need to do in here, which I'll explain to you in a minute, and then bringing those inside to paint them. Now what do I got to do inside? Well, this is getting cut down to like here. I got to cut the legs off of this down to right about 20 inches so that I can put the floor back in here to build it. Because, well, it's just going to be a lot easier if it's about the height that it's going to be when I have it on the trailer. That way it's give or take an inch, and I don't need to worry about figuring out, cabinet heights and stuff like that quite as much. All right, there we go. We now have the workbench cut down to the proper height. It just barely worked with the boards underneath. So I'm really glad about that because that could end up being a pain. And I brought in the walls, leaned them so that they can be painted on the inside here. I noticed that a couple of them, the outer layer of ply was actually like cracked and some places a little bit bubbled. I'm not sure what's causing that, but I really hope that it ends up not being something that's too visible inside the trailer, because there's a few places that it's fairly bad. So I'm going to look into seeing if I should try to spackle over that or something, or not spackle, but wood filler over that to try to get to be a little bit smoother, or what I got to do. But anyways, I also got a second layer put onto the trailer bottom and the sides of the trailer as well. So with it being so windy out, guys, it is actually blowing into the shop sometimes and kicking up some of the dirt and sawdust in here, which means I can't even paint with the walls inside the shop, which is really a disappointment because I was really hoping to be able to get that inside painted and be able to get it onto the bed of the trailer within the next couple of days. But if with it so windy out, I can't paint the inside. I probably still could put them up, but quite frankly, I'm not sure if I really want to at this moment today. What I'm gonna do is I'm just going to pull the trailer a little bit out of the shop, close up shop here, and I'm gonna go run some other errands, wait a little while and see if this wind calms down any. If it does, which I'm hoping that it does, I'll be able to paint the walls. The wind has not died down pretty much at all, and I have done yet another layer of paint on the trailer floor. So now it has 3 layers of the paint on it, which I think I'm gonna call good. The next step is going to be to flip it over. I don't have help here, so it's going to be interesting, but I need to flip it over, line it up as best as I can on the trailer, and then I need to take the drill and drill through where all of my connection points are going to be. Once that's done, I can bring it into here and get it put back onto the now short workbench. And well, with that, the floor is now back in the shop, and it's not an easy thing to do by yourself, guys. And I would highly recommend bothering a neighbor or someone, family member, a dog, whatever you can get to help you if you need to move around the floor and stuff, guys. It's not easy or fun. And in this case, I'm kind of glad that it was windy out because kind of helped me stay a little bit cooler, but not by much. I did also reverse the sides of the walls because now that this is in place, I think I can just sit on this when I'm painting the inside, the proper side walls. So I just move them to be where they're supposed to be. When I was drilling up through it, I should have put in some tape down or another block there so that it didn't split, and I knew that, but luckily I'm putting something down for the floor, so those aren't going to be visible anyways. But still, for your sake, if you do kind of follow this, what I'm doing for your own build, I would suggest to put a block underneath it or on top of it when you drill through where your mounting points are going to be. For some reason, the front of my trailer is bowed up a little bit in the center. It's not bad enough that I can't get it to bow back, and I'm hoping that once I get all the weight on this trailer, hopefully it will be perfectly fine. I just took a couple of clamps and I was able to get it to flatten right out. So it's not that bad, but it is noticeable, so that's something that I'm going to have to be paying attention to. Alright, it is now the next day, everybody, and well, yesterday we ended up having a few issues. You see, somehow the outermost layer of the plywood had started to kind of a bubble, I guess, in a few places. Let me just show you. So basically, like right here, and a few other places, there is just, it was like it was separated and it was like coming up on both sides. So I took a little sandpaper, knocked them off of there, but now I have to fix those areas. And well, I talked to my dad and he suggested that I check and see if I can get some of this Durham's rock hard wood filler, or putty, I guess it says. And so I have to mix this up. It's like a powder stuff. So I did pick up a few little cups, and I've got my Gatorade thing of water here. So I have to mix it up, apply it, and supposedly this stuff's supposed to dry really quickly. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to take some sandpaper after it fairly quickly, get it sanded down a bit, and then hopefully I'll be able to start painting the walls today. Which, if I can get that done today, I will be a happy camper. Wait, no, a happy man? Because the camper's not ready yet. Alright, so while I wait for that all to dry before I can sand it down, I'm going to go ahead and use this little tool here that I've shown you guys in the past. And I'm just going to mark the thickness of the walls on the sides as well as the front, just so that I can kind of get a little bit better idea of where things are going to be. And I'll be able to use those marks in the future as well. Now you might be wondering why I'm not doing the back one, and that's because, well, I still don't know how I'm doing the door back there, so it really won't matter because I don't need that for measurements until I'm ready to work on the door. I know there's some places on the sides where the drips got a little bit thicker, so I'm just going to take my knife here and kind of cut those down a bit to get rid of those high points. Alright, so this one has a larger spot on it and that was thicker, needing to be filled. So I'm going to wait on doing that side while I paint this side. By the time I'm done with that, the other side should be ready to be finished sanding as well as painted as well. The one wall, it went pretty well, no real issues. There's one spot that's kind of an issue, but the second wall, the wall that I put on the wrong side out, that one's having some issues. So I don't know if you can see it from back here or not, but there's a whole bunch of little lines in it. Let me get you closer, look at this. So basically, as soon as I started putting paint on, all the grain started raising on this piece. Luckily not all of it, but there's a lot of places that it is raised up quite a bit. And also some of the places that they had filled that I didn't go over with my filler, yeah, their filler just popped right out of there and came right out. And yeah, now I have little holes there. So unfortunately it looks like I'm going to be doing more filling and sanding. I'm going to let this one dry all the way and see what my dad says about it, because I have no idea how to fix this issue, if it is fixable or if I just need to take the sander to it, sand those all down and basically repaint it. And so I guess all that I can really do now is let that paint dry and see what happens. Hopefully that grain will go back down and won't be sticking up like it is, but I'm not too hopeful. And I guess I'm gonna have to do some more filling and sanding once I've got it painted, or in between layers of paint, I guess. I broke up as much of it as I possibly could. You'll notice a theme. It's wherever I had already put some of the paste that it ended up becoming worse. So what I'm hoping is that maybe I didn't have it quite as dry as it should have been, or maybe it's just too hot, humid out here. But what I've done is I've taken the scraper, scraped away a bunch of it, then I took the sander, quickly went over it with the sander in the bad spots, then I retook the scraper and I scraped up, like you can probably see right here, I scraped more off right there since the sanding. And I did that a couple of times. So what I'm thinking I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to go ahead and repatch these areas today, leave them all overnight until tomorrow, and sand again tomorrow, and repaint again tomorrow. And at the very least, if it wasn't because of the patch stuff, which I don't think that it was, because of how much more I opened up, I think that I at least got most of the bad first layer off, so that it won't do the same thing, hopefully, the second paint. Just like that, we now have it all redone. Got all of the spots here. I also read on the back of that it says not to apply in thin layers like paint. So I did these a little thicker than I probably needed to, but I would rather sand it down and it work properly than it sand it down and not work properly. So I definitely went a little thicker on them than I did last time. I guess the only thing to do is wait till this dries. Well, I've had enough, guys. This is what just happened by taking the roller over that wood filler. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and clean this all up. I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to sand it down so that it's as smooth as I can, and then I'm just going to paint over that too, because, well, I don't know why, but this wood filler is not like this thin of covering, or it's not sticking to the wood or something. I don't know. But to say the least, I am very frustrated. That actually had 2 days to dry because of a really humid day, and it's just still not working. So I'm going to scrape that off of there as best that I can. And I guess I'm going to try to paint the rest of it. I already painted some of this side here, and that doesn't look like it's giving me issues. So I'm going to continue to do that. And I'm going to paint that one back there as well. But as far as the front end of this one goes, I don't know. It's just being a pain. Alright, and we are done with painting the walls here. I've got the right side done and the left side. Now the left side, from the front of the trailer anyway, is the one that I was having issues with. And you can probably see this whole area right here is kind of goofy, but it looks okay, and once it's in the trailer hopefully it won't be as noticeable. There's a couple of spots down here too where you can see that grain raised again. There's a bunch of it right along the door frame here that I wasn't able to fix, but I think it's gonna be okay because, you know, the door frame goes over it, so hopefully most of that will be covered. Then we have a few little spots in here as well. You can see me even better over here, that the grain just raised right up and messed with the paint. So we now have 4 total layers of the areas that didn't need to be fixed and 3 on the areas that did. Now I was thinking about going in and trying to refix those areas that are still having that raised grain, but quite honestly, from what I've been seeing, the more I try to fix it, the worse it gets. So I'm not going to worry about it. I just really got to make sure that the next time I make a trailer, or the next time I'm working with this type of plywood, I have the right side out and I'm only painting one side of it. Because painting this side, as we've seen, for some reason is just a pain. So as a quick overview, what we got done in this video is we got the bottom of the trailer painted and we got both walls painted as well, which I'm happy to say, because that means that the next steps will be preparing to get the walls put onto the trailer floor. And that is when things will really start to come together. If you're looking at building a square drop or overland trailer like this one is, or maybe even a classic teardrop or any other style trailer that you can think of that is small and compact, I highly suggest checking out the DIY Teardrop Campers Community Facebook page. I have them linked down below. They are a wealth of knowledge. And of course, if you're wanting to build one and you're more of a book person, check out Tony Latham's Build a Teardrop Trailer book. It is filled with knowledge and can be very easily adapted. It isn't necessarily a plans book, but it does have his basic plan in here, and he goes step by step telling you how he did it with a lot of pictures and fairly good descriptions on how he's doing things. If I can figure out everything that's in this book, so can you. And of course, if you want to know how I got to this point, make sure to check out this playlist up here. Down below, that's going to be a video that you may like as well. Don't forget to hit that subscribe if you want to see this trailer come together, and hit that bell so you're notified every time that a new video comes out. Until next time, as always, you have a good one.